On this episode of CyberWatch, ransomware is top of the news. Supply chain attacks remain a problem, nation-state attacks are hitting new targets, and we have a cybersecurity safety tip for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. All this today in CyberWatch. Hello, and welcome to the CyberWatch podcast for the week of October 20th, 2024. I'm your host, Curtis Franklin. Let's get to the news. Now, in ransomware news, Casio says that the ransomware attack the company has been facing since October 5 shows no signs of ending or being solved. As reported in TechCrunch, a Casio spokesperson told the journalist that the company saw no prospect of recovery from the attack, which has had a significant impact on its ability to receive and place orders with suppliers and schedule product shipments to customers. While Casio is a global company, the attack seems to have had an impact almost exclusively on its operations in its home nation of Japan. It should be noted that the impact is the result of Casio quickly pulling multiple servers offline to avoid lateral spread of the malicious payload, which compromised sensitive company data and the personal information of employees, contractors, business partners, and job applicants. Responsibility for the attack has been claimed by the Underground ransomware group, which security experts have linked to the Russia-supported cybercriminal group known as Romcom or Storm 978. And that's not the end of the ransomware news for this week. Staying in Japan, Bleeping Computer reported that Nidec, a global presence in the precision motor, automotive component, industrial part, home appliance part, and robotic systems markets, was hit by ransomware earlier this year. The attack, which targeted the Nidec Precision Division based in Vietnam, didn't encrypt information, but rather exfiltrated sensitive and confidential data that was released on the dark web when the company refused to pay the ransom. The 8-base ransomware gang claimed the attack on Nidec and seems to have acted in concert with the Everest group to contact Nidec and demand a ransom. As with the groups involved with the Casio attack, the gangs claiming responsibility for Nidec's troubles are Russian-affiliated and based. In response to both of these news stories, analysts pointed out the importance of implementing best practices, including rapid software patching and updating, proper password and credential hygiene, and implementing multi-factor authentication wherever possible. In addition, continuing user training in cybersecurity practices and a strong incident response plan were listed as critical factors in minimizing the risk from ransomware attacks. Moving from ransomware to supply chain attacks, both cybersecurity vendor ESET and tech giant Google had software and services used as vehicles for malicious actions against customers. In ESET's case, its distribution partner in Israel was hacked, and its servers used to send exceptionally convincing phishing emails to Israeli businesses. These email messages pushed data wipers disguised as antivirus software for destructive attacks. According to a report published at Bleeping Computing, this business email compromise used the distributor's email servers to send messages carrying malicious payloads that were hosted on the distributor's servers. The malicious payload was very sophisticated in its use of obfuscation and anti-detection techniques, refusing to run on virtual machines or even physical machines with certain normal forensic packages enabled. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack. There's a long history of nation-state associated groups using malware, especially Data Wiper, as weapons against Israel. Meanwhile, over at Google, fake Google Meet pages are being used as tools to deliver InfoStealer payloads to both Windows and Mac OS computers. According to an article in the Hacker News, the malicious campaign uses a fake error message to convince users to copy, paste, and execute a malicious PowerShell script in a terminal window. The technique is ingenious because it will bypass most systems that search for and neutralize malicious software. This campaign is based around a dealer known as ClickFix, which is known to be a tool of an expansive network of Russian-based criminal groups that specialize in various pieces of the malicious infrastructure. In particular, ClickFix is associated with traffers. These are the groups that send criminal traffic to and between other criminal organizations. ClickFix is rearing its criminal head in the middle of a new wave of open source malware that makes it cheaper and easier than ever before to steal from, cause chaos for, or significantly damage the business processes of innocent victims. Analysts say that, once again, employee training is a key tool in fighting these threats, along with architectural modifications like microsegmentation. Add these to standard, but still often ignored, best practices, and companies may have a fighting chance against the criminals. Today, we've mentioned advanced persistent threat groups associated with governments in just about every story, and that trend continues with news about APT-34, a group openly sponsored by Iran. Now, this has launched a new wave of attacks against targets primarily in the United Arab Emirates and Persian Gulf area. According to Cybersecurity News, the group has employed a new backdoor to target Microsoft Exchange servers and steal passwords, as well as exploit the Windows CVE 2024 3.0088 vulnerabilities to escalate their privileges on affected devices. The point of the attack is to download and install ngrok, a remote monitoring and management application that enables covert communications via secure tunnels. This allows the tool to intercept plain text credentials, which are then emailed to the criminals using the victim's own email servers. Because the attack uses known vulnerability as its point of entry, proactive patching and updating remains the primary tool to limit the possibility of a successful attack. And finally, because as you might have noted here at the CyberWatch podcast, we're all about good news, the Register reports on Microsoft saying that an increasingly percentage of ransomware attacks are being stopped before they can encrypt victims' data. The report attributes this positive downward trend to automatic attack detection and disruption, meaning the security solutions organizations pay for are working to stymie ransomware attacks before they can deal the most damage. Now, it's not all sunny news because Microsoft says that the sheer number of attacks keeps going up. Collectively, we're just getting better and better at stopping these attacks before they hurt us. This success is due to many factors, analysts say, including better backup and recovery strategies, best practice adoption, and better training for employees. Whatever it is, keep it up. We may win this war yet. And because October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we've been presenting some simple to implement tips to improve your cybersecurity. Today's tip is to know what the best security practices are for organizations of your size in your industry and how they are best put in place. Many best practices fall into the common sense category, but not all of them do. And knowing which apply to your company is an important first step in improving your risk posture. Now, not every cybersecurity practice applies to every organization, and we're not aware of an organization that doesn't have practical, financial, and human limits. Understanding the best practices and their application to your situation will allow you to put in place the ones that matter, the ones that will give you the best return on your cybersecurity investment. Well, that's it for this week. Please join us again next week for the CyberWatch podcast brought to you by Access Point Consulting. And be sure to visit Access Point Consulting on LinkedIn and at accesspointconsulting.com. I'm your host, Curtis Franklin. We'll see you next week.